Alright guys, I hope you're all doing well and welcome to this community showdown. It's going to be the Lizardmen led by Charix facing off against Nurgle, who shall be helmed by Heisenberg here on Celestial Lake, and it is very elite lizards. Double Temple Guard with double Stegodon Bolt Thrower. Alright, that's kind of interesting. So a build that's basically just going to kind of poke and say, come at me bro, and see how that goes. And I would imagine it's going to be a life slant as well. It makes sense. If you're bringing two Temple Guard and two very expensive SCs, you pretty much have to bring a life slant. It's too good not to bring. And for the Nurgle build, it's going to be the opposite. Super wide, super thick. Pestigors into the sunset with basic Marauders. Just going to be trying to swarm and tar pit his opponent. He does have some anti-large via the Plague Ogres with the Great Weapon. So these things, if they can catch one of the lizard monsters in the open by itself, away from the support of the Temple Guard, could do some big damage. But otherwise, they will struggle into the Temple Guard. And it is going to be a Nurgle Sorcerer on the Rot Beast. Really cool choice. And he is going to be rocking Rancid Visitations, which is a very good sniping spell. It does a ton of damage. It's quite expensive, but you know, Spirit Leech is just so budget friendly and so cheap. But this thing, more expensive, but of course hits a little bit harder as well. And we do have Stream of Corruption, which is going to be a staple here because this spell has 100% AP value, and you want to use this on Temple Guard just to cut through them. So we're going to see how that goes. So we will do some fast forwarding out of the gates while the two players prepare to do battle. Lizardmen just kind of forming ranks. And if you're Nurgle here, I think you just pull back as far as you possibly can, because the thing is, with a lizard build like this, there's not much sense in engaging them at all, right? Like, just hold the two objectives, hold objective 2, hold objective 3, and you know, if they go for this objective, then you envelop them. You don't want to like just give them an engagement that's really cozy, right? And lizards look like they're going to be pulling back a little bit. Charix retreating while his Stegodons are shooting their bolt throwers into the Plague Ogres with the Great Weapons, actually doing some okay damage out of the gates. But so far, Charix is going to be playing very defensive here. And we do see the Guardian ability will be active for the Slan and Sacred Duty. Due to the fact that the Slan is nearby, they will be unbreakable. And they also, or immune to psychology, excuse me, and also cause fear, which is quite nice. So Nurgle is going to be grooving in there, and they charge in with the Chaos Sorcerer, which is a bit of a strange choice. I'm not sure what they were thinking. Maybe just trying to round these units up, I think. And it kind of works, I suppose. So the Plague Ogres do arrive, and in a head-up fight, Plague Ogres would for sure crush, not crush, but trade very well into the Sacred Croxigors because they're a dedicated anti-large unit. But here where they're fighting, there's a bunch of Temple Guard underneath them, which is going to be a very tall order. See all those Temple Guard models saturated in, poking the Plague Ogres? Another wave of Temple Guard is going to be coming in as well. And now we see a big swarm coming in from Heisenberg, so it looks like he wants to just take this big blob fight. But this is like, in my opinion, this is the Lizardmen's power fantasy. This is what they want. When they go to bed at night, they're laying there, you know, their wife might be thinking what they're thinking about. They're really thinking about this. This is what they want. And the Stegodon's grinding down these units with the support of the Temple Guard on the ground. Temple Guard will downtrade into like cheap Great Weapon units though. And maybe, just maybe, if Heisenberg can get a nice round with these Pestigors, yeah, I don't hate this idea. Yeah, he's got Great Weapons of Nurgle on Star Chamber Guardians, and he's going to sandwich them. Okay, now it looks like we have a little bit of a game on our hands. I was going to say it was looking kind of bleak, but these nice surrounds they get here. We do see also a very risky call-in here from Charix. He calls in the Razordon Hunting Pack, which is going to be easily chased and swarmed by those Furies, potentially. He's going to have to defend those. And we do see a very expensive, very elite unit being attacked by two kind of low-tier chaff units that are a great counter against it. So Star Chamber Guardian's going to be taking massive casualties, and this is extremely cost-effective for Heisenberg. Hence, you see his value going up past Charix's. On the backside, though, very slick micro here by Charix. He does pull back his Razordons. He lures the old Furies into some Saurus Warriors, so we do need to see Heisenberg pull those back and then reroute them to chase those units down and keep them out of the combat. But the blob fight here, I mean, this is where the Lizards are strongest. They have their Temple Guard getting Earthblood, so there's been constant Earthbloods going down from that Slan. There's another one right there. And the two Stegodons, also anti-infantry monsters, I mean, they do work. Their Bolt Throwers on top are also anti-large. 2 units of Plague Ogres. What kind of value do we see on the Plague Ogres so far? About 500-600. Yeah, they've been fighting Temple Guard too, which is tough, although the Sacred Croxigors, man, holding on like absolute champions. And more Marauders are going to be sent in. And I guess Nurgle is content to play this way because they have a triple cap, so they're probably like, all right, the value's close enough. I got homie triple capped here, and let's just kind of grind it and try and win on points, which is a very viable strategy for Nurgle. Wait, what was that spell for a second? Oh, that was a regrowth. Okay. I thought that was a Blight Boil coming in from Nurgle, which would have been pretty funny, but that's not what it was. In the backfield, we see a lot of chaos, and I don't mean that in the sense of the faction. A lot of anarchy running about, and ooh, really nice Curse of the Slug. So slows down the Razordon Hunting Pack, so that's a great play by Heisenberg here, and he's going to be locking down the Razordons. And Pestigors are also penetrating into the secondary line, so the call-ins from Charix have certainly been having some pretty big troubles here in the backfield. Granted, his frontline fight is going well. He's definitely winning this. because he's healing a lot, right? So even though the value is close-ish, Nurgle is probably behind on value, or at least even, because there's been a metric ton of high-value healing on Temple Guard as well as these Stegodons and these other pieces here. So that's very, very clean. Star Chamber Guardians showing why they're a very solid elite infantry unit. They're expensive as hell, though. They ain't cheap, but they do manage to fight these units off 2v1. But they might lose that grind over time. It's hard to say with the Pestigors still having 90 models. But here in the blob fight, Nurgle is definitely running out of steam a little bit. We do see the Pestigors quite beat up. Plague Ogres are starting to run. So now that the Plague Ogres are out of the fight, that means there's not going to be as much mass to really contend with the Lizard mass. It's mainly going to be infantry getting run over and plowed by giant dinosaurs, and that's a tough one. Also, the Battle Toad is just sitting there. Ablative Wounds, basically, for the other monsters. 6,400 HP. Slanner, very, very tough to kill. Incredibly difficult to kill. Call-ins for Nurgle in the backfield is going to be some Marauders. In the backfield, we do see Nurgle finally being cleaned up. So they were able to dive Nurgle had a very effective dive back there, keeping the Razordons pinned back, keeping a lot of the value pieces here locked up away from the very important fight over here. Imagine if there was like Coldwood Knights and more support here, it would have been a much easier fight for the dinosaurs. Even still, though, they are probably going to pull out this particular fight on the battlefield. The triple cap is ticking away here for sure. Pestigor is battling Star Chamber Guardians. They have lost models. Star Chamber Guardians, let's look at their value so far. So despite being surrounded 2v1, man, solid. I love when elite infantry units perform. It's probably one of my favorite things in this game. Pestigors, though, have already paid for themselves 800 value off the Star Chamber Guardians. They're a pretty cheap unit. Nurgle's going to be swarming in with quite a bit, trying to make sure that the forces of the old ones aren't able to get their points back. But this is where it gets very scary. The Lizards have kind of broken out of their cage here. When now we see the Skink cohorts and all these mobility units swarming towards the objective. Nurgle in a bit of a desperate chase. They have Pestigor swarming that way. Another unit of Pestigor is trying to keep these units from getting to the point. And the Furies, what are they going to attack? Are they going to attack the Coldland Spear Riders? That probably is a good choice. Because here's the thing. Coldland Spear Riders have terrible melee attack. It's 26. So if they're not attacking something that their bonus versus large can contribute to, then they're going to be really haggard. And in this case, the Furies of Nurgle actually have pretty high MD when they're in combat. It goes up because of the Cloud of Flies. So once they fully saturate in combat, they should be getting +9. Oh, it looks like it's recharging right now. But anyways, when it comes off cooldown, they'll do very well. And this is a really, really good choice to swarm those. But Charix is back on the, back in the game here. He's moving up. He's starting to contest objectives. Nurgle is going to have to Helm's Deep back on objective number 2, I think. So I think if you are Nurgle now, you know you're behind, right? This big death blob of the dinos has, the Nurgle Sorcerer Lord's getting punched in the face by these giant Power Fist Croxagors. We do see the 2 Stegodons with the Bolt Throwers just rampaging. I do think, I don't know, maybe Nurgle's game plan, maybe they're still going to be able to pull it out. I don't think so, though. I think what's going to happen is the Lizards are just going to kind of methodically stomp around and get all the objectives, because they've got to be up by about 2,000 value now. Nurgle did not bring a healing build. There was no Festus, there was no Mortis Engine. It was very much like damage spells, so that their magic would be reflected up here in the damage. And the damage metrics, not going to be reflected in shadow healing, right? So Nurgle's got to be massively behind now. A couple of Marauders with great weapons moving in, trying to hold it at bay, and now we see Nurgle getting ready for the Helm's Deep. Using their Furies to very good effect. Maybe if Nurgle can secure this point on the side and prevent the cap, it looks like they were. The Pestigors, a very nice, fast addition to the Nurgle roster, are able to make it through the trees and take these Skink cohorts to Pound Town in tandem with the Furies, who ripped apart those Golden Spear Riders. No surprises there. But now the Lizards' Doom Box is on the way. This is going to be tough. I mean, maybe, what could you possibly call in to stop this? There's still a lot of Temple Guard, too. I mean, here we got 34 Temple Guard. Let's see the value. 1,000 on that one. These ones are going to be rocking 1,900 value. Star Chad Guardians, 1,000 value, too. Stegodon's probably performing reasonably well, 900, and still a lot more fight left in them. So here they come. It's Thunder in time, and they're going to move in, and these Marauders are going to get absolutely wrecked if these things get a proper charge off. Power Fist Croxagor's on the way in, and the Nurgle Sorcerer did survive using a Rancid Visitations on the cohort of Waddle, which is a really good choice. A very low health unit, one that you could feasibly potentially break or get off the battlefield. Sorcerer is on the run, 3 leadership, you better watch out, Wavering, Terrified. Could get finished off by the Stegodon if it's not careful. A couple of Nurglings could be rolling in. 1,200 value here for Nurgle. They're hanging on to the side objective. Lizards do have a bit of a second wave coming in. Saurus Warriors will eventually grind through Pestigors. If you put a Saurus Warrior head-to-head with a Pestigor, it'll be a dominating victory for the Saurus probably. I would say maybe they'll be brought down to 40%, but they will win that one pretty well. Coldland Spear Riders also there, providing a little bit of mass in case any toads come out. Lizardmen threatening the back objective. And ladies and gentlemen, I think we have seen at the end of the road here. I think we do see some Marauders coming in. Nurgle Sorcerer's on the run, and that is probably going to be it. So the Nurgle strategy was obviously to tar pit the Lizardmen. We do see them like trying to contest this objective a little bit. They do have some infantry up here. Oh, maybe I was wrong. Maybe there still is a little bit of fight left in this game. Over on objective number 3, we do see Nurgle losing this objective now. So the Lizards have to hold this for over 2 points, or 2 minutes. That's going to be not Lizards, Nurgle, excuse me. That's going to be super hard for them with all these big terror-causing monsters. We see Battletoads coming in. I'm pretty sure my instincts are correct in this one being over. Yeah, and there's the capture weight. There's no way Nurgle's going to get that one back. But while we get through the last stages of the game here, we can kind of talk about things and look at some cool cinematics of fantasy creatures fighting. But basically, I think Nurgle's build was an objective build. It wasn't designed to value trade, that's for damn sure. But he still did a good job value trading, all things being considered, in the early game. But I think it was a mistake for Nurgle to engage Lizardmen on the home turf. He engaged them right here, which gave Lizardmen, you know, pretty good Vanguard points. I think like a build like this for the Lizards, which is so rooted in one position, you need to pull those units apart. You need to force him to move. And then ninja the objectives with your superior numbers and find openings. J-Barbs did a really, really good job, or Heisenberg is the name they're playing under now, did an excellent job of like stuffing the backfield, hunting the shooting down, really putting the game in the hands of that blob fight. But unfortunately for him, the blob was able to get the job done. But I think taking that fight there was a mistake. I think just like playing the 2 objectives, waiting for the Lizards to move in an awkward way, maybe to get a full surround or just have them be further away from their spawn. Little things like that for sure. But even still, like even if Nurgle had done that, I don't know if they would have won the game. I think the Lizard build for sure was pretty good against this Nurgle build. This Nurgle build had like, did it even have Marauder Horsemen? No. So Marauder Horsemen, oh man, if J-Barbs or Heisenberg here had like 3 or 4 Marauder Horsemen, he probably would have won that game. If he had them in reserve instead of the Chaos Knights, just cut those and maybe one of these and get the Marauder Horsemen throwing axes would be just value city against these Stegodons and against these other units. I think that for sure would have been big. Anyways, guys, GG well played to these 2 mighty champions. Hopefully you enjoyed that one, and we will see you all around.